Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for coming in so early today. So I'm very, very pleased to welcome you on behalf of the Indian delegation here to this interesting discussion on digital public infrastructure and digital solutions and how they foster efficiency, inclusion, and food security. So today we have a very distinguished panel, which includes experts, senior officials from the RBAs, all three RBAs in fact, and also some countries which have done excellent work in DPI, Estonia, of course India, and also we get to hear experiences of Malaysia and Indonesia. So I'm really keen to hear what they say and the diversity of views and experiences today. So let me begin by providing some context to the discussions. Digital technologies, especially digital public infrastructure, are reshaping the future of agri-food systems by delivering immense social and economic impact across the agricultural value chain. They also advance equity, inclusivity, efficiency, and sustainability. Built on open and interoperable platforms and tools, DPI strengthens public service delivery and enables an inclusive and responsive agri-food ecosystem. Digital services, which provide crop advisories and services such as soil testing, quality certification, e-commerce platforms, and marketplaces, are playing a transformative role, especially in developing countries. Through real-time and data-driven insights, these technologies advance productivity, promote climate-resilient practices, and improve access to services and markets, particularly for smallholder farmers. DPI empowers small and marginal farmers, supports inclusive rural transformation, and contributes to achievement of the right to food and also SDG 2, zero hunger. Several countries have implemented DPI initiatives that demonstrate scalable and farmer-centric solutions. While national approaches may vary, they share a common commitment to deploying technology for public benefit. There is consensus that looking ahead, global collaboration is essential to build inclusive, resilient, and sustainable digital solutions to support the agricultural sector. So with that context, let me kickstart the panel today and introduce our first speaker. Before that, I just want to share that I will request all the speakers to kindly keep their remarks within the allocated time slot. And I may take the liberty of my role as a moderator to just nudge you that you have a minute left before you have to conclude. The idea is we share experiences and then we leave some time open for Q&A, because in this room I met several experts who are sitting behind us from the both the digital innovations and DPI sector from other countries. So let me begin with our first speaker. He is a very distinguished economist and one of FAO's top leaders. Maximo Torero needs no introduction. As chief economist in FAO, he is playing a key role in several of its policies and initiatives. His major research work is related to analyzing poverty, inequality, and importance of geography and assets. He has vast experience in Latin America, Sub-Saharan Africa, and Asia. He works with governments and partners to build resilient, inclusive, and sustainable agri-food systems, including innovative financing mechanisms. He also provides intellectual leadership for FAO's flagship public goods, most notably the state of food security and nutrition in the world, which is making news this week. His work has been published in several reputed journals. It is a pleasure to invite Chief Economist Maximo Torero to share his thoughts about leveraging digital technologies for inclusive rural transformation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. It's a pleasure to be with you, and thank you so much for your kind words. So let me start with the issue of the urgency that we are living, and all of you have heard the numbers that we have in terms of hunger. 673 million people in hunger, 2.6 billion people that don't have afford a healthy diet, and 2.3 billion people that are in moderate and severe food insecurity. So in this context, we are living in a world of unprecedented digital capabilities with artificial intelligence, geospatial analytics, which keep growing, mobile platforms, big data, blockchain, and Internet of Things, which are reshaping the way we produce, trade, and consume food. So digital transformation can be an accelerator. We need to achieve SDG 2, hunger, and deliver the betters of FAO, the better production, better nutrition, better environment, and better life. But we need to be careful in how we do it and how we can give access and be inclusive in the access to these technologies, especially to be sure that the smallholders and the farmers which have less access to education, less access to these technologies, can benefit from it, because at the end what we want them is to be as good, as informed as the bigger ones, so that they can make and use the resources in the most efficient way. So let me focus on 5 areas on digital public infrastructure, which I think is important, and the role where digital technologies can play. The first one is from data to decisions, and this is building the foundations of digital agriculture. So FAO's first core function is, as you all know, is assemble, analyze, and make accessible, reliable data and information to all. In a world where we have an increasing frequency and intensity of climate events, significant uncertainties and market volatility, and conflicts increasingly, which are affecting this agri-food system, timely data is power, and that's what we need to supply. And here we have platforms like FAO Stat, the geospatial platform hand in hand, the new situation room that we just launched in the Liberia room, where we are transforming data into actionable items like, for example, triggers that will allow us to reinsure or will allow farmers to have early warning tools to make better decisions and anticipate risks, which is the first element when we talk about resilience, is how we can be preventive. And that's exactly where data can play a significant role. And this also can be linked to financing issues, which are so important today, like the financing for truck-driven for crisis facility, which is trying to use this data and these triggers to do anticipatory action in the market. So having availability of data brings transparency and lowers uncertainty. This is extremely important. If you recall, when we were in COVID-19, the major problem at the beginning was uncertainty. People didn't know what to do. And there was not an issue of food availability. Food was there. It was an issue of putting the rules of the game so that food can move across ports, but also calming the markets. And that was the role of an entity, AMIS, Agricultural Market Information System, that tried to calm the market. So when we are living these uncertainties in the world, like what we are facing today, I think data will be crucial, and it's crucial for farmers because they have to make decisions. They have to decide when to grow, for example, or what to grow and what quantities to grow, because they are very restricted in budget, so this is essential in that sense. The second element is empowering farmers through connectivity and inclusion. So at the heart of this transformation, as I said at the beginning, we have small farmers who produce 1/3 of the world food production, but they remain mostly not so connected to digital tools and markets. And the reason are basically the cost. The costs still are high in terms of access to basic cellular phone and data in technology. Normally, they have prepaid systems in place, which are a lot more expensive than the postpaid ones. Second is connectivity. Although we have improved substantially and the coverage is big, still many rural areas don't have access to those technologies. And in many developed countries, even you just go 1 hour or 2 hours away from the big city, and connectivity is not so easy. Even here in Italy, we don't have yet the technology that we should be having in a developed country. So again, capacity of connectivity is important, but one of the most complex elements is capabilities. And that is linked to what we are observing in terms of the aging of populations in rural areas and their incapacity because they didn't have the opportunity to read and write. And that creates a big complexity in the use of these technologies because they are excluded from the beginning. And that's where innovation also on these technologies will play a role through videos or other mechanisms that will allow them to be able to use them. But again, it's something that we need to find solutions to that and find ways in which we can move that. Now, our job as FAO is to work on digital rural advisory services, also to bring tools that are easy to use to farmers, no matter their little capacity to read or write, like the food loss app tool that we are trying to develop and we are deploying, that will allow us to help them to react and to have an idea, for example, of where losses are occurring in the value chain and to bring videos of solutions to those problems. So we have low cost and high cost videos, which are based on scientific information to resolve those problems. And the early warning systems, how we can give them flashes of what is going to happen if there is an ENSO, El Niño, La Niña happening, if there is a drought happening, if there is a cyclone happening, if there is a pest or even locusts happening, how it can work. In Kenya and Ethiopia, mobile platforms now provide farmers with real-time weather forecasts, pest alerts, and price information. In Latin America, we are using technology to do soil maps that will help them to find solutions and to increase the efficiency in the use of fertilizers, given that now they will know what the soil needs given the plant that they grow. So what you need to cover in fertilizers is the gap, and that's the type of information we can provide to them so that when they go to the agro dealers to buy the inputs, they know exactly what to ask. But as I said before, digital inclusion will be central, and especially in the case of women and youth, who often face the highest barriers. The Women's in Agri-Food System report shows that closing the gender digital gap could lift agricultural productivity up to 30%. Similarly, empowering youth, 1.3 billion strong worldwide, through digital literacy, entrepreneurship, and innovation hubs can unlock a new generation of agri-food leaders. The third point is strengthening value chains through digital finance and traceability. And here, blockchains, remote sensing, and digital finance will play a significant role. And we need to keep innovating in digital traceability systems because that will allow farmers to certify the origin and sustainability of their products, gaining access to premium markets and fairer prices. This today is essential because differentiation of products is what will matter the most, and the regulations are important, and the certification processes. So bringing up traceability systems will be important. Similarly, digital finance and mobile banking will be another way in which we can create financial inclusion. India has evolved enormously in digitalization, and other countries are doing the same, and that will allow us to have simplified scoring systems that will allow us to bring in small farmers. We already know that this works in SMEs, in small and medium enterprises. In many developing countries, it has been successful. The repayments are very high. But the digitalization will help us to reduce the cost and to improve the capacity of having better scoring systems in place. The fourth is resilience, as I was mentioned before, which is a significant component of what we are trying to do. And here is bringing the capacity of developing, using our agroinformatics platform, climate risk toolkits, and especially these early warning tools. So while you are here, I'll invite you to go to the Liberia room to see what we are doing with this situation room. And the final point is about governance, partnerships, and the way forward. So digital transformation is not just the technology. It's about governance, ethics, and partnership. Even we talk a lot about artificial intelligence and how it can solve many of our problems. But artificial intelligence is complex. You have language models, which is the one that we normally use. But we also have quantitative models, which is what we are using in our situation room. But the complexities behind and how we can really bring the concept of intelligence into it is crucial. And that's the role that we have to play as technical agencies to be able to make that useful and really to be intelligent, artificial intelligence. We must also ensure that we remain open, interoperable, and trusted. And that's extremely important, and to assure privacy of our information so that we can work on this. Partnerships will be essential. There is no one agency that can do this. I keep arguing when we meet with the UN agencies, we are supposed to ride the horse. We are not supposed to create the technology of artificial intelligence. That is already, there is monsters already working on that and moving extremely fast. Our capacity is to link, to be inclusive, to build those capacities to people to use them and to drive that horse. But our strength is not to be experts on artificial intelligence and create artificial intelligence. So I think there is a lot of space to keep working. So just to conclude, I want to bring up again the importance of inclusion, transparency, and evidence, and how we can bring these technologies to the use of our subject, which is the agri-food systems, so that we can accelerate that this becomes catalytic in the agri-food system transformation that we are trying to push towards a zero hunger world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maximo, for giving us some food for thought here as we begin our discussions and highlighting some of the areas where DPI can play a key role. Data to decisions, inclusivity, the gender digital gap, digital finance, and other areas. So it's really very useful to know what are FAO's priorities as in this important aspect of cooperation. And I'm sure some of us can use these ideas as we go forward. So I'm also very pleased to share with all of you that the event has attracted a lot of participation online. I welcome about 300 people who have logged in virtually to follow this discussion here today. So it just shows that there is a lot of interest in the DPI and to learn from experiences of other countries. So I now invite the next speaker, Pieternel Bugard, who's the Associate Vice President in IFAD and Managing Director of the Office of Technical Delivery. Bugard was with the Dutch Entrepreneurial Development Bank before she joined IFAD, and she led in her previous stint the agribusiness, food and water, and the private equity divisions. Before that, she pursued an international career in finance and management in the private sector. So according to IFAD, integrating digital technologies into rural economies makes agri-food systems more sustainable. And digitalization is also a key requirement for achieving SDGs and to increase global food productivity. IFAD is building on its ICT4D, Digital Agriculture Strategy 2020-2030. And I'm very pleased to invite Pieternel to speak to us about IFAD's efforts and ambition for digitalization in the agriculture sector. Please.
Thank you so much for inviting me and for giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of IFAD about this important topic and to be part of such a distinguished panel indeed. In IFAD, our activities are slightly different from FAO. We are really a finance institution providing loans and grants to governments to empower them to address food security and poverty reduction. But we are very happy that we can work together with partners like FAO to look at knowledge and solutions that can help these governments to address these issues. Digitalization is, like you said, not just about technology. It's for us, it's really the foundation for an inclusive, climate resilient and sustainable rural transformation, for better food security, and in particular for rural and remote areas where 80% of people are farmers, usually smallholder farmers. And I would like to emphasize that digital public infrastructure is for us the backbone of this transformation. It includes key building blocks like farmer registries, digital IDs, data exchanges and payment systems. But it can only deliver impact when governments provide leadership and policy clarity and indeed, as mentioned already by Maximo, trust, institutional trust. And digital technologies are impacting various sectors of society, including agriculture, obviously. And the digital technical solutions that for us include market information, transaction platforms that boost price transparency and farmer decision-making. Traceability tools that cut food losses, but also streamline value chains and make them more transparent. Mobile financial services, expanding rural finance, remittances, insurance, and investment. It covers a lot. But digitalization encompasses not only applications or tools for its own sake, but also infrastructure, systems and institutions that support accessibility, connectivity, and inclusive delivery. For example, last year, only 48% of rural population were online versus 83% in urban areas. Inclusive transformation, digital transformation begins with connectivity, therefore, and access to information to empower people. Without reliable data and connectivity, rural communities remain disconnected from many opportunities. So digital inclusion means ensuring that farmers, women, youth, and small producers can access information and improve productivity and income. An example of that in Asia is where we supported the flash flood early warning system. Early warning system, already mentioned by Massimo as well, is important. And in this case, the flood forecasting system used machine learning enhanced models to predict flash floods. These digital flood mapping and early warning tools has reached millions of farmers, helping them to plan and protect their lives as much as they can. Connectivity and localized data are entry points to digital empowerment, and they enable farmers not only to receive information, but also to participate effectively in digital economies, which is equally important. Our experience in digital public infrastructure is also key to inclusion, as it lays the foundation to connect farmers with markets, data, finance, and services by facilitating interactions within the agricultural sector. Across our portfolio, we're investing in supporting national level digital systems that enable inclusive growth. So, for instance, in Rwanda and Nigeria, we support the build of the digital farmer registries as core components of national digital public infrastructure with a grant. These registries will integrate geospatial, market, and demographic data to deliver services from credit and inputs to digital payments and advisories. The role of government as an enabler and a steward of the digital public infrastructure is definitely there, because such an infrastructure, to be efficient, needs to be governed, needs to be backed by the government with a clear direction, open standards, and effective governance. As such, governments play a pivotal role in creating the environment for digital public infrastructures to thrive. Their leadership ensures that systems are trusted, interoperable, and sustainable through policy, institutions, open standard, and data governance. Digital transformation must be people-centered, designed to empower and not to exclude. It must adapt to people and not the other way around. Inclusive design means addressing the barriers that prevent women, youth, and marginalized communities from participating in full. Therefore, for example, in Kenya, we support women's cooperatives, trainings to manage e-voucher platforms, ensuring they can benefit from digital subsidy programs. As important, building digital literacy and local innovation ecosystems ensures that digital infrastructure is not just accessible, but also can create jobs. Digital public infrastructure can also open the door for public-private collaboration. While the private sector brings the speed and creativity, or can bring the speed and creativity, the public sector can provide trust and scale. Through, again, as I mentioned, open standards and shared infrastructure, governments can crowd in private sector innovation. For example, ITVA's partnership with private companies through Innovatech grant shows how private technology can plug into public investment to deliver advisory, finance, and market services. Youth are also important in this, on this topic. They are not waiting for transformation. They are driving it through innovation and entrepreneurship. By equipping youth with digital skills and access to finance, governments, and partners can ignite rural innovation that sustains itself. IFAD's Project Life in Nigeria has shown promising results of youth-focused innovation, increasing participation in entrepreneurship and production. Youth are digital natives. Their creativity ensures digital infrastructure is not just built, but constantly improved and adapted for local needs. Concluding, the digital public infrastructure for us is governance in action. It can build trust, inclusion, promote innovation, and access to services. At IFA, to leverage digital solutions for inclusive rural transformation, we are committed to supporting these governments, to lead with vision and sound policies, to build these infrastructure systems, and to allow them to partner with the private sector to scale innovation. Because digital public infrastructure is not just about technology, it's about connecting people and build sustainable, equitable agricultural systems. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter Nel Bugard, for giving us a very, very nice presentation about IFAD and its work in DPI, for emphasizing the role of knowledge and solutions, traceability, connectivity, and also inclusive design. And the examples you gave about IFAD's work are really interesting, and I hope we can replicate some of those in other countries as well. So I now have the pleasure to introduce the next speaker from WFP, Dominic Henrik, who is the Director of Innovation. And he is working to harness the power of innovation and to find new ways to reach those in challenging locations worldwide, to end hunger, and including through WFP's Zero Hunger Innovation Accelerator. He also co-leads the UN Innovation Network, an informal collaborative community of innovators in the UN system. He has more than 29 years of experience in the UN system as a diplomat and senior official. The World Food Programme is playing a very vital role in humanitarian operations globally in more than 80 countries. And they're providing food assistance to people impacted by conflict, disasters, and climate change. In these challenging times of polycrisis in almost every continent, speed, efficiency, and optimal utilization of scarce resources is most essential. So, Mr. Henrik, would be very interesting to know from you, did the use of digital technologies increase WFP's effectiveness, efficiency, and adaptability? Through innovation and technology, was WFP able to expedite its emergency responses and increase assistance in these difficult times? So please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Excellency Rao, for the leading questions, for inviting World Food Programme here. Dr. Chaturvedi, thank you for the partnerships that we have between your government and World Food Programme on innovations, and for this theme today. It would be hard for me to follow the predecessor speakers in framing the issues. I'll try to be the action that we put in place and describe the journey that we have given to digital, to public data, to innovation. You organized this side event for several weeks already. 8 days ago, the Nobel Prize for Economics went to a team that researched the impact of innovation on economic growth. So I don't know whether you had an insight already or how that came about. My colleagues described data, connectivity, advisory services, value chains, the involvement of youth, the governance in action, and people-centered approach. That's what we try to do in our humanitarian operations. And the starting point is, I think, in WFP's values. We have a commitment to the people that we serve, and commitment is described as keeping the promise. Keeping the promise when you have no time, when you have no money, when you are in a difficult context, requires you to be resourceful. So our country operations are the engines of innovation, and in 2015 we added to those engines of innovation. I mean, in the 90s, when European average consumer started sending emails, we were sending emails over HF radio. HF radio means, we can reach thousands of kilometers distance with an email for our operations to communicate. So there's not a telex or a driver that needs to drive a few days. So in 2015, we established the Innovation Accelerator in Munich, Germany, to support our country offices in that journey of innovation of accelerating the response, making it cheaper, making it qualitatively higher. Sadly, that 2015 was also the year of, at least in Europe, an awakening to migration crisis. And it was also the year when 85 million people were in acute food insecurity. Our colleague Maximo referred to it so brilliantly. Now it's 319 million. So this stress is on food systems, on our societies, but also on the humanitarian operations, because we start from those furthest behind. So in that commitment, what have we done? I think on the cycle of data-informed decision-making, we have an application that is Hunger Map Live. It's available to the general public. It's not a WFP thing. It is available to everyone, to governments, for decision-making on the state of hunger. That is enabled through digital and artificial intelligence technology. I'm describing a journey. Innovation is not a magic wand. This work started in 2016, so 10 years later, we are starting to see the fruits of it. Humanitarian operations in Ukraine. We use blockchain technology, and it's probably the largest use of blockchain technology in the non-crypto environment, cryptocurrency environment. So 55 organizations are on that blockchain optimizing the humanitarian delivery system in that country. Of course, doing it in Ukraine may be easier as they are leaders in blockchain technology, but transposing the experience from there into other contexts is equally important. With the government of India, the targeted public distribution system, we developed a food ATM. We were comparing notes with the additional secretary of the ministry, making available an ATM to people that are less privileged. I mean, that we use an ATM is normal. Less privileged people in 40 seconds get exactly 25 kilos, and this is scaling, and it could be something that is then used in other countries. Faster humanitarian response, you said. Many agencies interact in a humanitarian response. We've created a digital portal, the UN Booking Hub. Take a look at it. A plethora of services, whether it is the medical support, whether it is housing for the humanitarian response, whether it is the fleet management, is brought on one platform with 13 agencies availing and using it. That's efficiency. The fleet is optimized through artificial intelligence algorithms that reduce the number of drives, that reduce the number of CO2 emissions. Similarly, our supply chain is a 4 million metric tons supply chain per annum. A 1% saving there can be 50 million. So what we did is we applied artificial intelligence to the supply chain and saving already per annum 25 million, and this is starting to scale. Some of these things, I think you need to look at it's like an exponential curve. The first few years it's very flat, it's very hard, even if you double the people impacted. Now that we're into 10 years, the accelerator has impacted 60 million people through innovations that came from there. Now we're starting to hopefully become interesting. A few years ago, we were in the hundreds of thousands, and people would say, look, but the problem statement is 85 million or 319 million. So I think this is a journey that we can follow, and it brings me to a further value that is connected to this: collaboration. Collaboration for us is together on a shared mission. And my colleague from IFAD mentioned it, together with the private sector, together with the governments, together with the people that we serve, human-centered design. None of these things were invented by the World Food Programme. We just apply them. We open the door to accelerating the inputs from external players. Massimo said it, we ride the horse, don't invent the horse. No? So here, this is what we try to do, and every day the speed that we accelerate serves people that are in distress and in disaster situations. Every day the money that we save impacts more people, and every day that we work with other partners on this, we share the burden with others as opposed to being the only point organization to go to. Last point, cash-based transfers. I think it was mentioned, financial inclusion, etc. There, we have, in the last, again, 5-10 years, had an incredible journey around the value of integrity. And the value of integrity at WFP is serving with excellence, which means serving with the standards that need to be afforded in cash-based transfers, needs to have targeting solutions that are robust, needs to have monitoring and feedback loop mechanisms that are phenomenal. All of these have been digitalized, so I can humbly say that we have end-to-end humanitarian, digital and AI-enabled operations, always with the respect and the integrity and the responsibility in mind. So we were contributing to the UN paper on artificial intelligence used responsibly, etc. So we don't do things maverick, we do them with deep thought and commitment and values. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Mr. Henrik. And it was very interesting to know about WFP's journey in this innovation domain, and also a lot of good examples, including from India, and how innovation and DPI is being used to reduce emissions efficiencies in supply chain management. With that, I think we will move now to some of the country presentations to know what exciting work is happening in different parts of the world. And I have the pleasure to introduce our first speaker from Estonia, Ms. Galina Uipos. She is an international project manager with multilateral cooperation specialist with more than 10 years of experience in development cooperation and agricultural trade initiatives. She leads the Estonian Ministry of Regional Affairs and Agriculture's Multilateral Cooperation Division. She was Estonia's representative to FAO and IFAD from 2017 to 2018. So our personal reflections here also, I was ambassador to Estonia from 2017 to 2020. It is a country of 1.3 million, but one, as many of you know, which has done remarkable work in digital transformation and digital governance, in fact, with almost 100% e-governance. And I don't know if it's still true, but when I was there, it was said that almost everything can be done through digital services, except maybe marriage and divorce. I don't know. I don't know if it's changed since then, but you can tell us. So Estonia has this very unique, secure personal identity that's given to citizens and maybe residents of Estonia also, which becomes the foundation for many of the digital services. Galina Uipos, please share Estonia's experiences in the agricultural sector, especially using digitalization.
Good morning. First of all, I would like to sincerely thank the Indian representation for inviting me to this panel today. I appreciate this chance to learn from others' experience, and I'm very grateful for the moment to share my country's story. Estonia has been building e-government services for almost 3 decades. It's up. So let's have a look at how that same digital DNA is transforming farming from satellite-guided tractors to online farm services, and why it matters for food, nature, and the rural economy. Farming faces multifaceted challenges: rising demand, volatile weather and prices, labor shortages, and environmental limits, just to name a few. Digital tools help farmers make better, faster decisions so they can produce more with less staff and smaller environmental impact. Transparency creates trust, lowers control needs and administrative burden, enables the state to provide data-driven policymaking and interventions, and personalized public services. Estonia already runs on digital rails, or HORSE, which includes secure identity, easily combined data systems, and widespread connectivity. Farmers benefit because services can plug into those same rails, cutting admin time and unlocking new tools that are simple to adopt. Estonian farmers juggle short summers, variable soils, and tight environmental rules to protect the Baltic Sea. Digital tools make operations precise, tailor inputs to each patch of soil, and track the impact, as you can only improve what you can measure. Think of this as the data plumbing behind digital farming. ePria, which is an electronic portal of the Agricultural Registers and Information Board, a subordinate agency to the Ministry of Agriculture, is the center of the agricultural sector digitalization. ePria handles farm services and registers, field maps locate parcels of land, open maps and weather, add context, and satellites provide precise and interactive images. Through secured data exchange infrastructure, these components interact with the farmer's consent. So sensors turn fields and barns into measurable systems. A drone or satellite spots stressed crop zones. Soil probes show when to irrigate or fertilize. Tractors log exactly when and how much they are applied. In barns, robots milk cows and tag-based sensors track health. Software pulls data into one place. It can recommend how to vary seeding or fertilizer across a field, send those instructions to a tractor, and record the job. The same data ensures compliance and sustainability reports, saving time and building trust among stakeholders. So here are a couple of examples of using digital technologies for farming on a daily basis. We are particularly content with the public electronic field book, which is a free tool for farmers to manage fields, record activities, and plan tasks. It eases field management, offers science-based recommendations for fertilization, liming, sowing, and harvesting. It uses pre-filled data from previous year's applications. It shows expert import of field and meadow data, supports holistic soil management and better soil biology understanding, enables compliance with Water Act for farmers without private software. It also enables remote checks via satellite and geotagged photos, meaning both farmers and civil servants spend less time on paperwork, making public services more effective. Consequently, the state does not only ask for data, but uses it to create added value product for farmers. Another example is precision crops. Imagine a barley field with sandy, wetter, and rich zones. A satellite image reveals the pattern. The farmer applies more where it pays off, less when it would leach away. The tractor follows a digital map, and software saves the records. That means efficiency for the farmer and cleaner water for everyone. In dairy, data arrives cow by cow. Robots and sensors spot issues early, like a fever or a cow ready for insemination, so farmers act before problems grow. Feed is tuned to each group's needs, improving welfare and productivity while easing labor pressure. The gains are real, but so are the obstacles. Estonia's strengths, strong digital infrastructure, secure IDs, and a culture of digital literacy help tackle interoperability and trust. Continued investment in skills and rural networks benefit the public. Nevertheless, technology does not forgive resting on your laurels. Next step is integrating AI, finding new income streams like carbon with a solid measurement and verification. A practical strategy is to pilot on a small scale, prove value, standardize, and scale with trusted partners. Estonia's story is simple: build strong digital infrastructure once, let many services ride these rails, and keep farmers in control of their data. The result is food that's smarter to grow, kinder to nation, and competitive on world markets. Thank you.
Thank you, Galina Ubos, for showing us some really exciting examples of what Estonia has done. And also, I heard a lot of common themes in your presentation also about how we can use DPI and digital tools to improve decision making. And you've also highlighted some of the challenges and the road ahead as we go forward. So that's very useful. And of course, the role of partnerships and importance of research and private sector. We are running behind schedule by almost about 10-15 minutes. So I'll request everyone to kindly keep it to maybe 5-7 minutes each. So we still have some time for Q&A. If the venue permits, we can go up to 9:55, but I'm very mindful of the fact that Chief Economist has other commitments and so does others. Next speaker is His Excellency Dato Zahid Rastam, the Ambassador and Permanent Representative of Malaysia to Italy and to the Rome-based UN agencies. He joined the diplomatic service in 2001 and had many stints in multilateral and UN agencies. So he brings a wealth of experience to this table. Ambassador, in Malaysia, the agri-food sector plays a key role in supporting your economy, contributing more than 11% to your GDP and employs more than 10% of your workforce. According to FAO, digital technologies can play a transformative role in Malaysia in boosting productivity and also to create jobs. We are very keen to hear about your experience in deploying AI. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Rao, and thank you to you and your delegation for organizing this important event on a topic which is of shared interest by many countries. The speakers before me have already given a very good elaboration of the context in which digital agricultural technologies are crucial. But for Malaysia, as with others, this is important. And in our upcoming 13th Malaysia Plan, our national development blueprint for the years 2026 to 2030, we are pushing forward in terms of intensifying our agricultural modernization initiatives. For Malaysia, the future for us, there are a couple of things which are similar with many other countries. One is climate change, and that is what we all need to contend with. But in Malaysia as well, we are looking at a future where there is slower population growth and the availability of labor and maintaining and raising agriculture as a career choice is going to be a challenge as we move ahead. So it's important for us to ensure that the agri-tech sector and the agri-food sector is sustainable and future-proof. So in this presentation, I hope to share with some examples our experience and to put forward the point that in order to maximize the use of digital agricultural technologies, there needs to be conscious policy actions and strategic investments, and whether that is in the technology itself, but also in the financing that allows for wider distribution and scaling up of the technology, and the training and empowerment so that those in the sector can better optimize its use. Firstly, a crucial part of any current and future technology is connectivity. For Malaysia, internet coverage in populated areas has reached 98.8% in July of this year, and 5G coverage is 82% of populated areas. This is not unique to AgTech, but it is something that needs to be part of a larger digital infrastructure which countries have to take to ensure that the technologies can be used should they be available. In terms of examples of use, in the farming subsector in Malaysia, we continue to develop and roll out smart farming plots for hydroponic farming and fertigation. There are also uses of AI approaches in terms of the agriculture applications aerial mapping systems. And this is essentially to map digital images onto topographic maps and 3D surface models, allowing for efficient management and benefiting other aspects as well, such as monitoring of diseases and pests. In the fishery subsector, there are smart technologies used, such as Wi-Fi timer sockets to allow long distance and real-time monitoring of paddle wheels and water pumps. There's technology used in terms of fish feeding and water quality checking, and these are controlled through smartphones. And finally, in the livestock subsector, the AI is used in terms of monitoring and preventing diseases with the data used to determine the probability of the existence of a disease based on evidence-based tests. Drones are used as well in terms of location monitoring, grazing field topography reports, livestock sensors, and certification of good agricultural practices. We are also using and scaling up the use of AI technology in poultry farming to look at health monitoring and the feeding management using robotic systems, and we hope that these can be further widely scaled up for use in vaccination and medical treatment purposes. On funding, financial accessibility is paramount. Under our 2025 budget, AgriBank, our dedicated agricultural development bank, offers crucial financing facilities. For example, the Agri-Food Value Chain Modernization Program provides financing at a competitive rate of 3% for up to 1 million ringgit, that's about 220,000 euros. And this is specifically designed for micro, small, and medium enterprises who are keen to adopt modern and green agricultural technologies. It also applies to sustainability, where we support technologies that contribute to sustainable farming practices, such as controlled agricultural environment technology and early warning systems. The next point is that in terms of being able to better use those technologies, we believe in the importance of integrating such technologies, including AI and automation technology in agriculture, into our TVET, our technical and vocational and education training. These include knowledge sharing initiatives from companies through our Smart Agricultural Directory and Digital AgTech program to young people. This exposure to new technological approaches, we believe, is vital for encouraging greater youth involvement in the agri-food sector, and also by showcasing modern, innovative, and profitable aspects of farming through technology. We hope that this creates opportunities and foster a dynamic, tech-savvy, and agricultural workforce, and this ties in our context of increasing the attractiveness of the agri-tech sector for younger people. And finally, on the issue of sustainability and climate change, as part of our Malaysian Sustainable Palm Oil MSPO certification scheme, digital platforms are used for traceability, data collection, and monitoring, and this helps to enhance transparency and efficiency of the certification process, ensuring that the palm oil is produced sustainably and responsibly. And one last example to share is a pilot project that is undertaken by the Muda Agricultural Development Authority. This is in the main rice paddy growing region in the northern region of Peninsula Malaysia. in collaboration with Toshiba Digital Solutions Corporation and the My Digital Corporation. And this project utilizes weather data and rainfall data to generate highly accurate forecasts of localized downpours and the intensity based on real-time weather data up to 10, 20, and 30 minutes before it is to happen. And what we found is that using this data-driven approach empowers farmers with better planning capabilities. It significantly reduces the risk of crop damage from adverse weather and actively supports sustainable agricultural practices. So to conclude, from our experience, harnessing technology is a necessity, but what's needed, at least from a government perspective, and in terms of policy action, is strategic investments to empower youth, foster innovation, and ensuring that sustainable practices are cultivated so that the agri-food sector can meet the challenges of the future. I thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Rastam, and for sharing the ongoing work in Malaysia in agri-modernization through use of AI, drones for disease monitoring, for feeding management, financial accessibility, digitalizing workforce, and also highlighting the role of strategic investments. I now have the pleasure to invite Dr. Devesh Chaturvedi, Secretary, Department of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare from the Government of India. He is leading our delegation to FAO this week for the Committee on Global Food Security. He is the senior most official in the Ministry of Agriculture, who leads both policy formulation and also supervises the implementation of all policies related to farmers and the agriculture sector. He's a civil servant who has spent a lot of years in one of India's biggest states, Uttar Pradesh, which also has a very important role in agriculture. Sir, India is a country of 1.4 billion, where while we are industrializing very quickly, the agriculture sector still plays a key role. It provides livelihood for more than 60% of our population. And the challenge is a large number of small and marginal farmers. But in spite of that, India has rolled out several good initiatives for digitalization and digital innovations in the agriculture sector. And I request you to kindly share with us how we were able to do that and the impact of some of these efforts under your leadership. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Vaniji. And just to mention that under the political leadership in last 10 years, we have made tremendous transformational achievements in the digital technology. We have more than 80% of households having smartphones in rural areas. The internet users have reached 970 million. We started with the Jan Dhan, where the unique ID or the Aadhaar, it's near saturation. We have the bank accounts, which are in 96% of our households, with the mobile telephony at 1.2 billion level. You have the payment interface, the UPI, which is now very popular even in the rural areas, with 24 trillion rupees per month of transfers, cash transfers and businesses happening. And we have 600 plus cities in the e-commerce platform of ONDC. Now, while we discuss this, we also are very conscious of the fact that as data grows, its usage grows, we have to ensure that data protection and the privacy laws have to be very much close to the global, as per the global standards. And therefore, we enacted the Digital Personal Data Protection Act, which establishes clear rules on how personal data is collected, processed, and shared. And there is a very strong, robust, revocable consent mechanism where individuals, including farmers and citizens, can give consent for how the data will be used, with strong safeguards through data protection boards also. When we come to the agriculture sector, it's very complex. In India, we have large number of agroclimatic zones, 400 crops plus crops, with 800 million land holdings, with 140 million landholding farmers, with for more than 46% of the total workforce in agriculture and more than around 60% of rural workforce in agriculture sector and light sectors. 86% of the holdings are small and marginal, with average land holding of less than 1.2 hectares. And therefore, when we talk of digital public infrastructure, the inclusivity and also the issue of having all the diverse systems, land system in the country to be incorporated in the system is something which is of a big challenge. And therefore, the DPI for the agriculture, which we call the agri-stack, was conceived as a digital ecosystem for the country, which incorporates all these challenges within that and ensures that none is left behind in the system. So when we come to the whole idea of digital public infrastructure, so first we have to decide who is a farmer and whether a farmer is a landowner or a cultivator. So our DPI includes the farmer who is also a landowning farmer, as well as the one who is cultivating through formal or informal lease. So this ensures that there is inclusivity. And the farmer ID which we create has at the back end all the data, of course with the data protection, all the details of the farmer, the landowning farmer, as well as the one who has been authorized to use that land for various services. And it includes the Aadhaar, which is helping in giving the payments to the direct benefits through the Aadhaar payment gateways. We also have the system of land, what is the land owned by the farmer, and what is the share of that land in a plot where there are co-tenure holders, there are multiple tenure holders in that land. Then we come to the plots. Where are those plots located? The georeferencing of the plot with longitudes and latitudes with the georeferencing has also been undertaken in more than 90% of the plots, and that it's nearly completing, it's nearing completion across the country. So once we locate the plot, we know the agroclimatic zone where the plot is, so that it becomes very easy to do targeted advisories. And third is what is the crop. So immediately after the sowing season, we have a system of surveys, and the georeferencing of the plot ensures that the survey happens only once the person or the survey enters into the plot. So anybody who's outside the plot will not be able to undertake that survey, so it ensures the accuracy of that survey. So obviously we can use satellite data for surveys, but that satellite data is available only for limited crops like paddy and wheat. But for the other, the technology is still under development. And also the fact that we have multiple cropping, we have intercropping, we have different crops being grown on the same plot of land, and it's very difficult for satellite to capture those crops. So this survey becomes very important, and ensuring that the surveyor enters the field before taking a survey and taking a photograph helps in the accuracy of that survey. And therefore, this DPI, which has these three stacks, is implemented in 34 states and UTs with more than 590 districts, and we are planning that by next year, all the districts will be undertaking the digital crop survey. We already have 73 million farmer IDs against the total target of 140 million, and we hope that by next year, we will be reaching 110 million this year, which is targeted, and will be close to 140 million by next year. So once we have this digital agri-stack, it opens a lot of transformational ideas to be implemented. So the banks actually need, what do they need to give a crop loan or any credit? It's one of the essential prerequisites, what is the land held by the farmer and what is the crop sown on it, and what has been the history of the farmer in terms of getting the credit. Therefore, we have now a system with the banks where in 30 minutes we can sanction, the banks are sanctioning loan based using this DPI software. The insurance registration is in less than 5 minutes as per the crop sown, because the insurance companies from the back end can get the data based on the consent of the farmer, what the crop has been grown by the farmer in last few years, and also immediately after the sowing in the present sowing season. Genuine farmer registration, which is tagged with the record of rights, which is very robust in our country, shows that there are no leakages and there are no ghost beneficiaries within the system availing the benefits. So the claim settlements are also very quick due to the electronic verification and through the digital payment system, which is Aadhaar enabled. So the money directly goes to the bank account linked to that Aadhaar number, and it goes into the correct account of the beneficiary. We also have very, very proactive government benefit delivery and enables direct income support. So if I want to give some help to a disaster-struck area, we can straight away give by a click of the button. And the last and not the least is the customized advisory to the farmer, which has been discussed by many of our predecessors. Based on the agroclimatic zone, crop zone, soil health, and weather condition, we can give the advisories. And the priorities of DPI are quite aligned to the FAO because we have the food security issues where once we get the real-time assessment, we can do the supply chain management, efficient food supply across vulnerable regions. We have the climate resilience aspect also covered because we can provide advisories by integrating the digital public infrastructure with weather and crop data so that the farmers can adopt their practices and inputs based on the advisories. Inclusive food systems because the private sector knows which area what is being grown so that the value chain and the investment in food processing can be more rational and informative. And also, it ensures that the market access to the farmer, especially once they become farmer collectors through farmer producer organizations, it becomes easy for the private sector to know what the FPOs are growing because they know the exact area and the availability of land with them and what is surplus with them in terms of food systems. So this DPI system is transforming the way we are delivering services, and it is also helping in ensuring that we have a data-driven policies, including the import-export policies, including value addition, including giving access to the markets to the farmers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving this very crisp presentation of how India has been able to roll out several impactful digital initiatives in the agricultural sector. And it's a lot of good examples that we can share with the world through South-South cooperation as well. So I now have the pleasure to invite our next speaker who's joining us online from Indonesia. Can you please bring her up on the screen? Dr. Wahida Maghrabi is a senior policy analyst in the Indonesian Center for Agricultural, Socio-Economic and Policy Studies, which is under the Ministry of Agriculture. Her focus is on improving agricultural policies, policy advocacy, and dissemination. She has also worked on digital agtech sector. Dr. Maghrabi, agriculture is very crucial to Indonesia's economy and employment. It also contributes more than 14% to your GDP and employs 1/3 of the workforce. I understand that Indonesia is also proactively encouraging innovation through a combination of data and decision making. So please share with us some of Indonesia's experiences and priorities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Excellency Rao. So hope my voice, you can receive my voice clearly there.
You are audible. Please go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So good morning, colleagues in Rome who joined the discussion offline. Also, good afternoon from Bogor, Indonesia. Thank you for the invitation and opportunity for me to share the penetration of digital agtech solution in Indonesia. So let me just allow me to share my screen. Yeah, hopefully everyone is already able to see the screen now. Yeah. So, okay, hang on. Yeah, so I think the title for my presentation today is kind of like, complement and also, confirming some of, the earlier presentation, including, insight from Maximo, partnering. I put the title Partnering for Impacts, a key insight for the future of Indonesian digital agtech. Hang on, okay. All right. Okay. So the information that I presented today is an insight for collaboration study between my center, ICASEPS, Brawijaya University, and also Beanstalk, Australia. The title of the study itself is an evidence to underpin Indonesian AgTech transformation. I think we're very lucky because it's a combination between policy and action research works funded from the Australian Center for International Agriculture Research, or ACIR. Digital AgTech itself is very crucial for Indonesia, in particular to support the agricultural transformation to achieve the national food self-sufficiency target, as mentioned in our medium development planning 2025-2029. The project itself implements multi-stakeholder approach and try to engage the actor in the digital AgTech ecosystem in the country. It is important for Indonesia to also identify determinants that may contribute to continue and discontinue of the adoption, as well as to develop strategy and increasing capacity and expertise to increase innovation, productivity, resilience, and inclusion through the use of digital AgTech. Data collection with various stakeholders has been conducted from June to September 2025. However, in Indonesia, majority of the user or the adopter of this technology still focus in Java Islands. This is the example of digital AgTech Indonesia. So you can see this is my colleague from Brawijaya University. This is our modified drones. This is completely different, how digital AgTech implement in our Western Hemisphere. In Indonesia, there is a lot of IoT. Most of digital AgTech penetration is on IoT. We have a lot of greenhouses as well, IoT in irrigation, IoT in open field, as well as IoT in the poultry sectors. I guess this is the main insight that I really would like to bring to you all. There is a strategic insight from our baseline study. I would like to focus on 3 different information that very crucial in related to the digital AgTech penetration. The first one is human capital and digital readiness. This is there is a latent demand even for non-adopters. So when we're talking about digital AgTech, it's not because it's not an attitude, but it's an opportunity. So over 90% of non-adopting farmers, because we also, besides adopter farmers, we also, deliver questionnaire to the non-adopter farmers. They believe digital tools can improve farming and willing to try if provided the access and training. So training is very important. Technology access is often dependent for some farmers. Commonly, the models show the technology application only for the group leader, preventing other members from gaining hand-on-hand experience. And also there is a significant technology abandonment rate after initial training. When we asked about the adopter, surprisingly 80% of the farmers still use the technology. So this is very good. And sometimes, what make them stopping using the technology is when the driver, the equipment, broken equipment, unstable connection, or lack of post-pilot support. For the financial infrastructure barriers, I think everyone is also mentioned about this. Most of the adopter as well, the technology is still expensive. They really experience that if there is support from financial access, it may allow them and also to increase the adoption level in Indonesia. Last but not least, also talking about public-private ecosystem and sustainability gap. Since I mentioned from the beginning, it's a partnership. It's not only the government support, a lot of private sector, in particular technology providers involved with the business, including our central bank, also part of the initiative. Okay, I just really would like to confirm about the inclusion. More insight from the study, from the socioeconomic profile. However, this technology adoption is very much male dominated. There's not so many women involved in the become our sample and also adopting the technology. Horticulture is still the main commodity that exposed with digital AgTech. Government support dominated by the greenhouse with IoT and targeted to the champion of horticulture farmers. This is very important, who have links with modern retail supermarket. So hotels, restaurant, and catering. Bali, everyone may be familiar with Bali. Bali is the example how the HoReCa sectors, hotel, restaurant, and catering, produce demand-driven for good quality product. And this is, kind of like demand push for the farmers to adopt the digital AgTech technology. The sustainable of digital AgTech penetration determined also by how the policy can intervention. Then the strategic alignment and consistency in policy implementation become very important. The second one is effectiveness for financial scheme. Many government agree that financial support is one of the key factors to implement digital AgTech. And also, I think we have to find different kind of business model that can accelerate the adoption of the technology. Increase digital literacy and training also very important, and also access to digital infrastructure. And I think, since this is very much male dominated in Indonesia, we really would like to promote inclusiveness of the technology for women and also the youth. There is some risk and design consideration. The first one is trust. I think, everyone also heard how the many some startup collapse also in my country. So this is also, kind of like giving a trust issue for some of the adopted and also, private sector to entry the Indonesian market for this one, financial burden, infrastructure gaps, and also market barriers. Last but not least, this research also, talking about how to govern digital AgTech penetration in the country, in particular, the role of the government policy in this case across ministry, because at the moment there is a lot of ministry also has a project and also a role in to promote the digital AgTech. This project will guide and also try to develop a platform communication. We're calling a steering committee. There is a strategic guidance, championing advocacy, unlocking synergies, monitoring accountability. So I think the idea of this is really would like to laying the foundation and defining roles across different sectors, aligning on action and fostering collaboration. So I think with this, I guess it is very important to promote digital AgTech by empowering a multi-stakeholders. Then it can accelerate the demand for this, and continue, the adoption can be increased across smallholder farmers in my country. Thank you very much. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Maghrabi. You gave us very good insights from Indonesia's experience, and especially focusing on the barriers to greater adoption of digital technologies and what policy interventions are required to address this. So we are very, very close to our ending time here, but I want to take the liberty of inviting another colleague from India, Mr. Sanjeev Shankar, who is a financial advisor in the Department of Food and Public Distribution. He has more than 30 years of experience in our tax department and has a lot of expertise in tax audit and direct tax evasion, a very powerful portfolio. So he is presently in the ministry which is handling India, the world's largest food public distribution system. And sir, I invite you to share insights about how we have used digital technologies to increase the efficiency and impact of this program in India. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Ambassador. So I believe we are running short of time. I'll try and finish this intervention in just 2 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, as you may be aware that India has adopted a rights-based approach to food security. So it's a legal guarantee for our citizens that translates into something like 810 million people who are given free food every year. So that's a big, for government of India, it's an investment of something like $25 billion annually. So, but we are using this food security through our digitalization process. We are trying to increase the accountability, transparency, and also efficiency. So I'll just limit my intervention to 2-3 critical programs that we run to ensure how we achieve this efficiency and transparency and accountability. So one is the end-to-end computerization of targeted public distribution systems that we initiated some 5 to 7 years ago, and now we are reaping the benefits of all this digitalization. So what it has translated into is that digitalization of our ration cards beneficiaries data. So it has been completed in all states UTs, covering all the beneficiaries, that is 810 million beneficiaries that we have. Aadhaar seeding of ration cards. So Aadhaar is our unique identity number. So for the issue of identification of the correct beneficiaries, the Aadhaar has been seeded with the ration card, which is the beneficiary document. And online application of food grains for the FPS level. FPS is the food, that the last mile delivery point. And the automation of fair price shops, that is, we have achieved almost 99.6% of our fair price shops being automated. So the EPOS, that is the point of sales, that in many of the cases, these are also integrated with the weighing machines, so that we actually know how much is given to whom, and it is all deposited in a central repository of database. The second comprehensive program is on the One Nation, One Ration card. So we have a lot of these mobile population who are also beneficiaries moving from one part of the country to the other for work, etc. And they have been provided this platform, and they can draw their benefits from anywhere in the country. And I'll just give you a few numbers. So all the 36 states, union territories are on board, and almost 100% of beneficiaries are entitled for this portability. And we have average monthly count in numbers of 32 million transactions every month, and 20 million since August 2019. So these are the two very major interventions, and the third and the last one is the rightful targeting, because we are always very concerned about whether the beneficiaries are actual ones that are getting the rations, the food grains, free food grains. So we had done the data analytics and tried to identify which are the ones which are likely to be the suspect ones, and we have shared the information with the states which are actually the ones who are distributing the food grains, and they are doing the last mile verification, and through that there are large numbers. We can share the numbers, but I don't think we have time for all that. So these are three major steps that we are trying to do for the food security of this in this food security program. Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that very, very concise overview. We have a very senior official from Brazil here who is also from this sector of digital innovations in agriculture. Can you take 1 minute, please, to share Brazil's experience and some of the good stories from there?
Thank you very much. It's for me, it's really interesting to be here and listen to all the experience from other countries. In Brazil, I work for the Secretary of Digital Government in Brazil. It's the organ responsible for the e-government in Brazil. And for us, DPI is a new subject for us. Maybe we have been dealing with it for 3 to 4 years now. And we have seen it as a way to evolve and to better plan, implement, deliver, and monitor public policies. So for us, the biggest challenge is to build, nowadays, the biggest challenge in agriculture is to build a coordination and integration of different policies relating to the rural world. So we are talking about land owning, land holding, but also about producing upon this land, and also about we have the forest legislation, which is very strict, and we are looking at it in a very strict way. So for us, DPI, we have been thinking about it as a way to integrate all these different policies, but not only in the way we deliver the policy, but also in the way we are backing it. As now we're talking about the digital systems, we deliver the policies, but also the databases we have under the systems and the way the public services we deliver the policies. So for us now, the biggest challenge, I listened to the Indian experience, and it resonates really well with what we are doing, because our great challenge is to integrate, to interoperate the systems in order to better deliver the policies in a more integrated way, because historically they have been built in different departments. So the biggest challenge is to put it together and to make it more comprehensive. Thank you very much for letting me talk a bit about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Balaji, would you like to close and
Yes, thank you, Madam. I think the program really went off well. There are 444 participants today, both online in room. I have been very carefully monitoring that. First, a big thank you to the distinguished panelists, Mr. Maximum, Mr. Bogard, from Mr. Dominic, from the 3 UN Rome-based organizations. Thank you, Excellency Ambassador Astam, for your contribution for today. I also thank our dear colleague joining from Indonesia online. And I know that there are so many questions and we could not do justice. I also thank Galina for her contributions. She has come all the way from talent to be present with us today. Big thank you to you. And always all the participants, both in room as well as online. Again, thank you to the manager, to the CFS Secretariat. Also, all the participants who are, I'm just repeating, I was just taken, I lost the track. Anyway, so best wishes, and we hope to see you all back in the room. Okay, that's what the point I missed. So there is an informal Q&A for a few more minutes. If some of you would like to know something, we can continue here for 10 minutes more. And if somebody has to go to the plenary, can also kindly go ahead with that. With this, thank you all. And for an informal exchange, I think the coffee is still there. We can also have discussions over coffee as well. Thank you so much.